My name's Celia. I'm a technology and automation specialist here at CEO Warrior. So that means that I get to help clients every single day to find software and automation solutions that work for their business. A lot of that means I do training and coaching on how to use software, how to build different automations, really improve efficiency. But that's definitely not how I got started in the industry. That's kind of I'm not really an IT person by trade, right? So I got started in the industry actually through call centers. So my first experience in a dispatch environment was actually working for a company that dispatched police, medical, and fire departments to customers who had alarm systems go off. So I was doing alarm dispatching at the time. I got to do some call center management there, but actually what happened is my company downsized and they got rid of my entire shift. So it was the first time in my life in all of my jobs that I've ever been let go from a job and laid off. And so I didn't really know what to do next. I had worked really, really hard in that position to kind of graduate through the ranks and finally make my way into like a management type role. And it just didn't end up panning out for me the way I wanted it to. So ultimately, I managed to find a job at a small plumbing and HVAC company down in the Salt Lake City area, and they took me in as a lead dispatcher. I had some dispatch experience, but not in the trades, not in plumbing, HVAC, and electrical. So I kind of felt like I was flying by the seat of my pants a little bit. I didn't really know what I was doing. And for the people that are familiar with this industry, you have to learn really, really quickly, especially in a dispatch role. So I did. I learned really, really fast. My first 2 weeks of working there, we were working with a program called ESC. It's a dispatch software, it's a CRM, it's how we communicate, getting the service expert out to a customer's home. It's got all the data in it. And within 2 weeks of me working there, they decided to implement Service Titan. So I was brand new to the industry, I had no idea what I was doing, and they're like, by the way, we're gonna implement this brand new CRM and we're really gonna need your help with it. So we started this implementation process. I had no real idea what I was doing, but I learned really quickly how this program worked, went through all the training, all the onboarding, and then 2 weeks later our office manager quit. So I was left actually as the only dispatcher in the company. We had no office manager, we had no other dispatcher. So within 4 weeks, I really went from having no idea what I was doing, implementing a brand new CRM, to ultimately kind of becoming the office manager for this company. We hired a couple of more staff, we got a couple of great gals to kind of help on the dispatch side, and it just all took off from there. So that's kind of how I got started in this industry, and it's kind of been a whirlwind, but that role, being kind of thrown to the wolves a little bit, is what taught me I don't want to be without knowing this software. I don't want to not understand things. I don't want to have to keep asking questions. So I just taught myself as much as I could, and it led to me kind of becoming an expert in all things Service Titan, technology, automation. And it's been a really amazing experience. I worked at this smaller HVAC and plumbing company, and then I ultimately left that company for another slightly larger company in the same area. I took that role as a dispatcher initially as well. So I was doing everything dispatch related. I was pulling permits for the department. I did everything from plumbing to HVAC to electrical dispatching. And I had that role for a little while. And then once again, and I don't know how I keep finding myself in this situation, but they decided to implement Service Titan as well. And so luckily I already had the experience of onboarding Service Titan once, so I was geared up and ready to help them onboard it at another company. So I took that role on, and in learning everything I've learned through a second implementation of a CRM, I just realized that I have a lot of knowledge, a lot of really specialized kind of niche knowledge on CRMs, technology, and automation. And so ultimately I took a role as a support analyst, so a data support analyst. So I did everything from creating reports for them, creating checklists and building reports and checklists for our service experts, all the way through managing our CRM, using Zapier to build automations and other really cool programs, and really kicking off all of our commission, different payroll projects. It was a really, really awesome experience. And it was amazing to be able to help one company, but what I always told, I would go back home to my husband almost every single day and tell him, like, I love what I do, but I want to do this for more than just one company. When you're working with just one company, you are kind of in a position where they take your advice or they leave it, right? And so you see things and you see the big picture and you want to do what you can to help make the systems more efficient. You want to help make everything run a little bit smoother, but ultimately it's just one company, right? And so I was approached by CEO Warrior almost a year ago now, and I didn't really know a lot about them. I'd gone through other training platforms through the other companies I worked for, and actually the company I was at that time was had just left the CEO Warrior world. So they had been in the CEO Warrior world, so I knew the name, but I didn't really know anything about them. And so they approached me and asked if I'd be interested in a role at CEO Warrior, doing technology and automation and specializing in the way that I was already specializing. And I really, really fell in love with that idea. And I went back home and told my husband, like, this is an opportunity to do exactly what I want to do, really similar to what I'm already doing, but imagine how many more people I can help if I'm doing it at a company like CEO Warrior. So I got the privilege to meet Mike Disney and some other people from the CEO Warrior team, and I just fell in love with the atmosphere. I fell in love with everything that they represented, everything that they stood for, and for me, it was like the decision was already made. By the time I met Julie, the decision really was just kind of made at that point. I fell in love with everything about it, and ultimately the position that I have now, it is like a dream for me, ultimately. This is helping people the way I help people in something that I know that I'm good at and I'm educated in it's ultimately like everything I've ever wanted. So really, I'm in a position that I could not be happier in, and it feels really, really great. Honestly, it's been really everything I've wanted it to be every single day. I mean, my day looks like, helping people. That's ultimately what I do. If I were to describe it to somebody, I would say I'm doing what I love. I get to help people in technology and automation. I get to watch people's companies grow and become more successful, and I get to play a role in helping them do that. It's incredibly fulfilling for me. And I'm really stoked to be here, so I'm excited about it. I really, really value helping companies to be more efficient, to be better. From my experience, having worked in the industry in these like family-like environments that they become, I want to see them be successful, and it becomes incredibly important to me. I want to see them grow. I want to see them. And these owners and critical managers that are working with us, they deserve it. They deserve every bit of what they're working for. And I want to see them be successful. And so for me, working with CEO Warrior means that I get to do that every single day, and I get to be a part of that. So for me, my why is I want to play a role. I want to be a cog in that wheel. I want to be able to take a step back and say, hey, I helped them to do that. I got to help them, grow. I got to help them increase their revenue, increase their efficiency, build automations. And ultimately, I have a lot of knowledge in this really niche area of the service industry, and I want to be able to share that because it took me a long time to get this knowledge. And so I want to teach that. I want to coach that. And that's honestly it's what brings me joy. So.